Alright guys, let's talk about the Sony A9 image quality and the high ISO performance. I just want to go over that real quick. I took it to Chicago and it performed amazingly. I have a few prints, and the reason why I'm showing you prints is because that's what your customers are going to see. And if you can print high ISO prints for your customers, then you're doing a good job. So, this one, I went to the Jurassic World exhibit at the Field Museum in Chicago, and I took some pictures in there. The highest I shot was 40,000. I'm going to show you one at that, but the other two I'm going to show you are at 10,000, and they're amazing. And these are 8x10s. I could have printed these larger, and they still would have been really good. So this is 8x10, 10,000 ISO. Hopefully you guys can kind of see that. I don't know how close I have to get, but you're not going to really see any grain. I can't even see any grain when I look at it closely. It's pretty ridiculous, honestly. Here's one more. 10,000 ISO. It looks pretty insane. Again, you have to really look to find any kind of noise in these images for 10,000 ISO, and honestly, I can't even really see it. So your customers are going to be okay with 10,000 ISO guaranteed. And keep in mind, this was pretty dark area too. This was super dark. That's why I shot it at 40,000 ISO, and look how good that is. As long as you expose it correctly, you will be golden. It's ridiculous, guys. I could have printed this 13x19 and it would have looked great. You can see a little bit of luminance noise on the truck down here, and that's about it. Otherwise, it looks really, really good. And yeah, it's ridiculous. You still see all the detail and everything in the T-Rex head and everything. So I did want to share a couple other photos I took with my 10mm voightlander that I rented, because I rented that specifically for Chicago. And just so you guys can get an idea, this lens is only available for Sony E-mount, and on full frame it's a true 10mm wide angle lens that's rectilinear, so it doesn't distort like a fisheye does. Okay, so first of all, here's the Field Museum in Chicago, and I should have printed out the 18mm that I took with me too, because it is so different than that. It really is incredible the type of image you get from this lens. It's really amazing. If I just shot architecture, I would definitely buy that lens for sure. With an A7R2, you're going to be killing it with that. This is another picture of the Trump Tower, and you've got a building here that's really cool. I waited till that boat came in to get that in there too, because I thought it looked pretty cool. But you can see some of the dynamic range too of the camera a little bit. It does a really good job. It's not the best. If you look in this picture, you can see some noise where the shadows have been lifted a lot though, because I lifted the shadows, and then they were also lifted in Photoshop a little bit. That's the Hancock Tower, and I was about maybe 20 feet away from the base of this building, and it's so tall. I was on the other side of the street with a 24mm down on the ground shooting portrait, and I couldn't get the whole thing in. So it just shows you how wide this is. And this was shot not in portrait, but in landscape, and that was 20 feet away. Just to give you an idea of how wide this lens is. It truly is incredible. However, I do recommend, if you shoot all architecture and landscape stuff, get an A7R2. The dynamic range is better. This is still usable. It's still good. But you'll get less noise if you do a lot of shadow lifting and things like that. You can play with things more. But the image quality is still fantastic. And the high ISO performance, as you saw, is pretty mind-blowing. For 24 megapixels, It's easily the best 24 megapixel sensor that's ever been created for high ISO, by far. I would say it nears a 7S territory, maybe not quite, but it's double the resolution as well. So I just thought I'd share that with you. And that's it for today. I promised I would show some high ISO pictures, and wanted to share them with you, and then show the 10mm lens, because that lens is incredible. Highly recommend it if you guys do architecture or things like that. It's a tough sell, because unless you live in a big city, it's overkill for most things. It really is. It's really made for incredibly tall buildings and things like that, where you can just do amazing things with it. But that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching.